Even though the script is not that extensive, there's a lot of music and other material embedded in this presentation, which I hope you will enjoy watching and listening to as much as I enjoyed creating it. Thanks to Alex Gooden for facilitating the project. Tom and I both attended Amherst High School, graduating 6 years apart, so we didn't actually meet until I returned to the Valley in the mid-'80s. As our friendship grew, we soon discovered many common interests beyond music, especially our love of nature and baseball, though we had our cultural differences on this last matter, as Tom was a Red Sox fan. Tom's encyclopedic knowledge of the stars, birds, and moths greatly enriched our experience of nature, whether trekking in the Conway State Forest looking for moose or sitting under the stars on the deck. Tom was very much like that with everyone he knew, more than just a musical colleague. As a duo, we began rehearsing at his studio in Northampton in 1985. Later, Amherst College became our weekly rehearsal venue, since we could get access to 2 grand pianos there. Although he'd attended college, Tom was essentially an autodidact with a skeptical view of academe, although his mind was always open when it came to the music itself. He was always interested in getting involved with music that was new to him, as evidenced by the variety of groups and people he was working with when we met, many of whom I'm sure we'll hear more about later. The Latin band Juventud, the trad band, the Paradise City Jazz Band, the Valley Big Band, blues bands, as well as working with creative individuals, including many of you, I'm sure, on their individual projects, recordings, and gigs. Regardless of style, Tom's musical identity was unmistakable. The academics talk about individuality of voice being a core attribute of all great musicians. Tom certainly had it. Tom also had a great sense of humor both on and off the bandstand. And while I am not at liberty to share a lot of it with you, there is one profound musical observation which he made that I've often pondered. Quote, "There's a lot of music that's three-chord music. You just have to put them in the right order." Unquote. He also liked to play the Taco Bell canon at weddings. Our repertoire was pretty eclectic. Besides our own compositions, we played and recorded music by Bartok, Milhaud, and even Argentinian composer Umberto Allende. Of course, we played a lot of Ellington and Monk, as well as pieces by many of Tom's composer-pianist heroes like Cedar Walton, Hank Jones, Tommy Flanagan, and Mal Waldron, with whom he would later become friends in Paris. Tom devoured the cassette recordings Giselle and I made on our serendipitous 1989 visit to Hermeto Pascual's attic rehearsal space in Rio, soon transcribing much of it and passing it on to many of the hipper musicians with whom he worked in the Valley and beyond. One of our highlights as a duo was opening for Hermeto when he came to Amherst to play a midnight concert. Working for about a year, we had transcribed the entire LP, Slaves' Mass, Misa dos Escravos, and arranged it for four hands, earning a spontaneous backstage toast and accompanying improvised poem from the master before he went on. One of many memorable moments, like playing an all Horace Silver concert at Norwalk Community College and meeting some of his high school friends who attended. The NCC concert was one of many we played when we were on the New England Foundation for the Arts touring roster, which took us on many fantastic road trips, some of which also involved taking routes that would enable us to look for moose and bald eagles. These tours were also greatly enriched by another encyclopedic expertise of Tom's involving beverages, which ranged from single malt scotch to vin jaune. Tom and I recorded several times, one of which later became a cassette album, which I'm working on having re-released digitally. Our CD double helix was recorded in '98 for the Licio label. Tom was also a featured soloist on my large ensemble big band and orchestra recording in 2002, along with clarinetist Richard Stoltzman and saxophonist Bruce Williamson, which was recorded for MMC Records with the Slovak Radio Orchestra in Bratislava, a road trip for the ages. This CD is entitled An Imperfect Storm and also features Tom's work with the Bill Lowe Andy Jaffe Big Band. Though we spoke often of booking a European tour after he moved to France, in recent years we only played together occasionally when he was stateside. Of course it wasn't the same, as we would have to prepare as we all do today, one rehearsal and then hit. Much different than when Tom and I had rehearsed routinely when he lived here. One of the highlights for me personally was when my son Marty joined Tom at one of these concerts, which reminds me that Tom, in spite of his aversion to academe, was also a great teacher. I imagine some of you here studied with him. He respected the notion of jazz as an oral tradition, and his middle name was Empathy, so of course he was a fantastic teacher.
I'm walking, yes indeed, and I'm talking about you and me, and I'm hoping that you'll come back to me. 'Cause I'm as lonely as I can be, and I'm seeking some company, and I'm hoping that you'll come back to me. So what you gonna do when my love gives out? Sit in the corner with your mouth stuck out. You're gonna look around at me and pout till I tell you what it's all about. But I'm walking, yes.
Last year we went to visit Tom in Normandy and had a great visit. And in the fall, when Tom and his wonderful wife, our dear friend Ann, came to visit and stayed with us as they normally have these past few years, we hosted a party before his concert at Amherst College with Archie Shepp and the Nawa Drummers.
I'm hoping and I'm praying that you'll come back to me someday, baby, and see I'm as lonely as I can be, 'cause I'm seeking your company, and I hope and pray that you'll come back to me. I can't sit around and wait for you. Can't sit around because I'm blue. Can't wait around until you're true. From now on it will be up to you. I'm gonna walk right out your door, and I won't come back no more. But I hope and pray that you'll come back to me when I'm walking.
I was so honored to be able to travel to France and be with him in May. His marriage to Anne was a perfect and equally profound compliment to his love of music, for which we will all always be grateful.